Once again, it's the Horror Guys.
Hi, everybody. It's us. I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian, and you didn't sound so sure there for a second.
I had to double check. Checked our name tag. Yeah, I'm Kevin. And we're going to talk about some horror movies this week, aren't we?
Really?
Yeah.
Horror?
We're going to talk about 4 horror movies and mention a couple bonus ones. And there's even going to be a short.
Wow.
I am prescient.
Same thing we do every week.
I am prescient.
Okay.
I predict. How do you say that? Prescient. I predict the future.
Yeah, that's how I'd say it. This week we've got Scream 6, the latest installment of the Ghostface saga.
They keep pumping them out.
Diabolique, the original from 1955.
Interesting.
Black and white, French.
Oui.
Hell House, LLC.
A faux-umentary. Not a mockumentary.
No.
I was schooled on the difference recently.
From Beyond. One that I had seen when it came out and
Lovecraft.
kind of forgotten about, but it was really good.
Yeah, it still holds up well.
And we'll watch a short also. And over on HorrorBulletin.com, if you're signed up over there, you will see that we have watched The Funny Games, the German version and the American version, and we compared them. And you know what the difference is between the two?
Subtle differences. Well, the
English.
The English version, they speak English.
It's shot for shot.
It is. It's one of those exact remakes.
Kevin had seen the American version a long time ago, and he said he'd never seen the original, so we watched the original. He's like,
oh, that's better.
Very familiar.
Yeah, and it was very familiar. But yeah, our consensus was the original is better because of the time frame and the cultural differences.
I don't think if it had happened in America the way the second one did, that it would have gone like that.
I think it's a lot less realistic.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. But
Europeans are just so polite.
If you read about that, you can check that out on the website.
HorrorBulletin.com. If you've already signed up, you've got that in your email probably, or the Substack app if you're into that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, you can pop on over HorrorBulletin.com and read that one. As always, all the reviews are available on HorrorGuys.com, as well as links to all our books. And we got a couple of free ones on there now. We've talked for months now about the Horror Guys Guide to the Halloween films, where you can see all 13 of the Halloween films, synopses, reviews, and timelines. Mm-hmm. And we've got a fiction book there, Jess and the Werewolf, that you can download absolutely for free. It's one of our first books we wrote like in 1924. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
We're not that old.
We did it on a typewriter.
2014, I think. That was from both of us. And the Horror Bulletin Monthly Issue 20 is now available in paperback or ebook. But if you go to HorrorGuysShop.com, you can get the ebook version of this particular issue absolutely free.
I love free things.
Yeah, you can pick up all 3 of those books if you want to for free as ebooks over at HorrorGuysShop.com.
Check them out.
And there's plenty of books you can pay for while you're there too, but let's not harp on that one too much
if
today.
If you're so inclined.
Yeah, if you're so inclined.
Yeah.
But you probably came here to hear about movies. What do we got first?
Scream 6. They've made 6 of these now. They keep making money. So
there's a 7th in the works.
They'll keep pumping them out. And this just came out this year. Was directed by Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillett. Written by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. Stars some familiar names and new ones. Courtney Cox, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, and Jasmine Savoy Brown. And it was just a hair over 2 hours. 2 hours, 2 minutes.
Long one.
Yeah.
They couldn't figure out what to cut.
So they crammed it all in.
Spoiler free, what happens?
Well, this was a step better than the more recent couple sequels. Back to the quality of the first few. Some of the attacks are more public and take on more people at once, but it seemed much like what we've seen before. It's if you're a fan of the Scream films, you'll probably like this one too.
I think we were both kind of unanimous. We did not like 5.
we didn't care for it near as much.
They tried to change too much. It didn't feel like a Scream film.
And this felt like back to the roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 1, 2, 3, and 4 came out reasonably close together. They were a series, and they got weaker as they went on. That's normal. Nobody expects them to get better.
And of course, there's
5 was
lots
a
of,
reboot after a long time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't great.
And this does homage and flashbacks and actually mementos and things from the first few movies play into this one.
Yes,
it's
very
kind of
important.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but we both like this one better than the previous.
Yeah.
All right, so without destroying the entire thing, it's Halloween. Laura waits at the bar, but her flirter date, Reggie, you notice how all the fake apps on all the shows just end with R now?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Flirter, banter, and so forth.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah.
All right, well, her date, Reggie, can't find the place. They talk about horror movies on the phone. She's a film professor talking about early 20th century slasher films. She talks him through finding the place, but he ends up in an alley being chased by a guy with a knife. In a panic, Laura walks into that dark alley, alone, and Reggie's voice changes into something more familiar.
We've heard that voice before.
She doesn't live long after that.
Yep.
Well, he kills her. Then he takes his mask and costume off. He's Jason, and he stops to talk to Tara from the previous film. They're going to all be going to the same party later. I don't think Ghostface has ever took his mask off this early before.
Nope.
Something to that,
We
maybe.
found out who the killer is already.
Oh, did we, though?
Oh, but it's way more complicated than that.
Well, he goes home and hangs his mask in a closet and washes the blood off his hands. He gets his call from his partner, who also talks in Ghostface's voice. Jason said he was nervous and had to practice on Laura. His name's Jason, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Notice that.
Jason starts to doubt that he's talking to his friend, and it turns out he's not. Jason is soon dead.
Mm-hmm.
Credits roll. So they kill Ghostface before the credits even.
Well, what are you going to do now? Ghostface is dead.
Yeah, what could happen?
Ghostface killed by another Ghostface, though.
Ooh.
Oh.
Battle of the Ghost Faces.
Yeah.
Well, Sam from the previous film, is talking to her psychiatrist and says she's worried about Tara. After he presses her to talk about herself, she tattles that her father was Billy Loomis, the famous serial killer. Her boyfriend was also a serial killer. The internet claims she organized the whole thing and framed them all. So she's kind of getting the blame for the whole series. The doctor gets more and more nervous as she admits killing the serial killer felt pretty good. And she gets annoyed and goes home, where she learns from her roommate Quinn that Tara has gone to a frat party. Tara meets Frankie at the party. Annika tries to get her away from him, but she's very interested in Frankie. Annika enlists Chad to try and help, and there's soon a fight, which Sam wins with a taser.
College frat party drama.
Holy shit, it's that psycho girl, someone says. And Sam and Tara have a very expository argument about their motives for being there.
Mm-hmm.
Later, Tara thanks Chad for helping her out, and the two almost kiss until Quinn interrupts. Sam and Denny are seeing each other secretly. Everyone watches TV, where the news talks about Greg and Jason, who were murdered by a masked killer. Sam freaks out and wants to leave town now. That's where I'm going to stop talking. But
yeah, we should.
You know, they should have just left town now.
Because stuff happens, yeah. And Gail Weathers comes back. She's in this one again.
Yep.
Yeah, familiar face.
There are a number of plot points that you don't want to think too hard about, but that's okay. Unlike many of the previous installments, there's really nothing terribly innovative or original about this one. That's what we didn't like about the previous one, is they tried to add too much new stuff.
But this was kind of back to the,
Yeah, this time there's, as always, but there's a bit of a surprise about who the killer is.
There's surprises, yeah. I thought they handled it well.
Kevin was quite annoyed.
And then can I talk about
Go
this
ahead.
part? Yeah. These are people who are, experienced with mass killers.
This is at least the sixth time Gail's run into them.
Yes, Gail is there. And, the girls from the previous movie. And, it's a situation, grab a frying pan, you clobber the killer. Oh, the killer is knocked down and knocked out. Instead of standing there and pounding them to make sure the killer is dead, because what's going on. No, drop the frying pan and run. And this happened multiple times with multiple different things where they had the upper hand briefly, And rather than keeping the upper hand, they would scream, drop the weapon, and run. And of course, the chase would resume.
So let me
Like,
translate for you.
After all this time, really? I mean, it's easy to be an armchair, detective about this sort of thing and say, oh, that's not how I would do it. But come on, these people have some experience with this.
So what you're saying is if anybody in a mask breaks into your house, don't expect to get whacked over the head and walk out again.
If I have the upper hand, I'm going to make sure I keep the upper hand. Yeah. In theory, yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay, well, unlike the previous film, at least this one felt like a Scream movie. I liked it quite a lot more than that film since it didn't quite mess with the formula quite so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of need to watch 5 to know who these characters are.
Mm-hmm.
But
that helps.
If
yeah,
you could
for
skip
sure.
5, be okay with me.
I should watch them all. Yeah. But anyway, overall, a thumbs up. It was more of the screaminess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we mentioned over that in our bonus films this week, we watched the German version from 1993 of Funny Games, and then the Americanized 2007 version of the same film. Diabolique, 1955 French black and white film, had a, I think, 1990 remake that was also an American or English version. We didn't watch the remake this time, but I had seen the original or the remake and had not seen the original. How about you?
I had not seen either one.
All right. Well, this one, Diabolique, 1955, directed by André Georges Clouzot, written by Pierre Boileau, Thomas Narcejac, and Henry Georges Clouzot, stars Simone Signoret, Vera Clouzot, and Paul Meurice. And I probably mangled every bit of that.
Oui,
yes. Very, very French.
Yes.
1 hour, 57 minutes, trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free, this is an interesting snapshot of life in France in the 50s. Horror guy Kevin got kind of bored by the last part of it, but horror guy Brian was more forgiving. Because I'd seen the original, I knew where it was going.
Okay.
But you got a little bored?
I did, yeah. I kind of give it a really weak thumbs up. Because the 1950s Frenchness was cool to watch. That part was fun.
The story didn't
part
grab
of it. Yeah, it just kind of bored me by the end of it.
Okay, well, this is considered one of those big classics.
It is, but not for me.
Well, what happens?
Not for Kevin. Well, we open at...
Since this one's like 70 years old, you could probably spoil it.
I think I will, 73, almost 70. Yeah, almost 70 years ago, yeah. We open at the Dallaselle boarding school, and a food delivery man comes in. The headmaster, Mr. Drain, hears screams coming from Nicole's room. She's one of the teachers and doesn't care much for her boss. She tells her colleague, Christine, that Michael gave her a black eye last night at 3 a.m. Well, Mr. Drain gossips with a colleague that he finds their friendship baffling. The legal wife counseling the mistress.
Wait, what?
What? Yeah, we are both told that Christina, the mistress, has a heart condition. So it's kind of an openly known situation, which is, a little strange.
Actually, I think we got that backwards. It's the wife that has the heart condition.
Is it? Oh, yes, because
Yes.
that's key on that.
So anyway, he's the headmaster of the school is married to a woman with a heart condition, but he's having sex with this woman who's, I guess, a teacher there or does something there. And everybody knows about it. They're all okay. Well, they're not great with it, but everybody understands it and knows about it, including the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
that's the premise, yeah. Well, Michael comes into the room, and we see that he's a bully to both of them. Christina complains to Nicole that divorce is a deadly sin, which is why they're still married.
Oh, I hate you, but I can't divorce you, so go ahead and screw around.
Uh-huh. And Nicole has a plan that they only have 3 days to make happen. And the fish at dinner is really sketchy, but he forces Christina to eat it.
It's rotten bad fish, but he makes her eat it anyway.
Yeah, if you don't eat your fish, you can't have your pudding.
Because he's a bully.
Yeah. Well, Michael even bosses around Mr. Drain. Christina doesn't like the way he runs her school. It's her money and her school. Nicole mentions she's going away on vacation in the morning, and Michael forces Christina, his unwilling wife, to have sex with him. Well, apparently, everyone is going on vacation. The students and most of the staff pack up and leave, and late that night, the two women meet in the attic for a secret meeting. Nicole has found a big wicker trunk and loaded it into their truck. They've had enough of this bully. Mrs. Herbeau is the nosy landlady where Nicole will be staying on vacation, and she watches the two women carry in the big trunk.
The big trunk doesn't look that heavy.
No. Christina calls Michael and says she wants a divorce. Since the school was part of her dowry, she wants it all back. Well, Michael says he'll be there tomorrow to discuss things in person. Christina doesn't seem too eager to go through with their plan, but she obviously thinks Nicole is right about the solution to their problem named Michael. So they put sedatives in the wine just before Michael arrives. Christina says they need to stop. It's too awful. But Nicole points out that after her phone call, it's really too late to turn back. But he'll never know that I was the one who killed him, Christina snarls. So she's disappointed that he won't know. Yeah. Well, Nicole goes downstairs to keep the Horbuxes, the landlady and her husband, distracted and busy so they won't see Michael coming in. Christina lets Michael in and they go to her room to discuss the situation. He had to sneak out of the school because chasing his wife was embarrassing, and no one knows where he's gone. Well, that's mighty convenient.
This whole idea of divorce in the 50s was just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's just a French thing either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was very taboo back then. Yeah. Well, Michael tells Christina she's too religious to start a divorce, but she convinces him that she could do it if she never remarries. That wouldn't be a sin. Well, he's angry about the humiliation and scandal it would cause, and she talks about his indiscretions. Plus, he'll lose out on all her money and his place at the school. Christina tries to get Michael to stop drinking the sedative. She kind of having second thoughts. He's holding the wine, and hasn't drank it yet. But then the conflict eventually devolves into him slapping her, and she just lets him guzzle it.
You just drink that bottle down.
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah, that's enough. Well, he soon passes out, and Nicole Nicole sneaks in the back door, fills up the bathtub. And the two women carry the unconscious Michael and drown him in the bathtub. Christina is terrified, so Nicole does most of the work. Christina has chest pains and must rest while Nicole puts a tablecloth over Michael and the tub. Well, the old man downstairs complains that the tub is too noisy and writes it down in his book of grievances.
I've never stayed in a place where they kept a logbook of when you take a shower.
Yeah, too noisy. Wrong time of day. Well, they end up tricking him into helping them carry the much heavier trunk out to their truck. Christina tells Nicole, "We are monsters." Mr. Drain wakes up, and the women return to the school that night and need the gate opened. He was expecting Michael, and the women say they didn't know he wasn't still there. The women unload the body from the truck and dump it into this scuzzy old swimming pool that's so cloudy and murky you can't see into it. Christine just about has a heart attack from the effort, but they make it work. And then they go inside and go to bed, returning from their vacation. Eventually somebody will find the body in the pool and assume he just fell in and drowned. Perfect. Well, the other teachers do notice that Michael is missing, and that kind of cheers them up.
Yay, the boss is gone.
They kind of hate him. Yeah. Christina keeps watching the pool all through the school day. It's kind of a suspenseful. That was kind of Hitchcockian, I thought.
Very much, yeah. Is he going to turn up?
Yeah, is he going to surface? Is somebody going to find him? Yeah. Well, he doesn't. And doesn't. Well, Christina wants to have the pool drained, but Nicole says that wouldn't look normal and would cause suspicion. So Nicole accidentally drops her keys in the pool, and one of the students has to dive in after them. The kid finds Michael's lighter down there, but not the body or the keys. So she needs her keys. Well, we got to drain the pool. So they go out to look at the empty pool, and Christina faints because there's no body. Uh-oh, complication. The doctor says she'll be fine, but she needs to avoid vexation.
Yes, vexation is bad.
Yes. And Nicole said, well, the body has to be around somewhere. Who took Michael out of the pool? The dry cleaner returns Michael's suit, the suit that he drowned in. And how'd he get that? The woman at the cleaner describes Michael and points them to a hotel room for the man who brought them the suit. And the cleaning lady says, Mr. De La Salle doesn't have any belongings, and he's never there during the daytime. So Nicole asks, he wasn't really dead, was he? That seems to be the solution, but Christina blames Nicole for planning the whole thing. They argue about which of them the courts would convict, and they decide it's probably best to just wait and see what happens.
How could he not be dead? It's somebody playing a prank on them.
Yeah, it's got to be. No, Christina decides to turn herself in, but Nicole finds the newspaper that they found a naked body in the river. So that's got to be him somehow, right? Christina goes to the morgue to identify the body, but it's not him. A policeman rides in the taxi with her and asks a few questions. He wants to know why she didn't report her husband as missing. Suspicious. Nicole watches Christina and Detective Fichet walking back to the school. His first guess is that Michael ran off with another woman. Both women talk to the detective, who just won't shut up and leave.
This guy's like a proto-Columbo.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Little boy is working in the yard, and he says the principal, Michael, told him to do it. Yet no one else has seen Michael. Well, Christina is terrified of being caught and gets sick, but Nicole insists it's just all coincidence. It's fine. Nicole injects Christina with something to help her sleep, and the doctor comes again and says that she overdid it, just needs to relax for a while. And the doctor tells her assistant later that his assistant that she's probably going to die soon. So her heart's getting worse. Well, Nicole finds Michael in the back of a school photo that morning.
Taken just that morning.
Yeah, taken just that morning. And she wants to leave town. Christina says her health won't let her go along. Well, that night, as Christina sleeps, Detective Fichet comes into her room. He's really persistent. He says he found Michael, but she says that's impossible because she killed him. Whoops. No, I didn't kill him. Yeah. Well, she tells him everything. She spills and includes Nicole's involvement. He says she needs a stronger sedative and leaves. Well, later, she awakens again and goes out into the hallway. She hears footsteps in the dark. Who's there? And there are sounds coming from Michael's office. Suddenly the lights go out, and she runs back to her room. She gets back to her room and finds dead Michael in her bathtub. And as he sits up, she has a massive heart attack and dies.
Didn't see that coming.
So Michael removes the dead-looking contact lenses and checks his dead wife's pulse. He then calls Nicole in. She was in on the plot from the start. The whole thing was just a plot to kill off the wife. And they talk about how they faked the whole thing. Now we're rich, he says. Except Detective Fichet comes out of the shadows and arrests them both for murder because he overheard everything. And he's an excellent cop and he knows everything.
Oops.
Yeah. And that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad people doing bad things.
You know, if her heart's that bad, there's probably a lot easier ways to scare her to death.
Ooh, this was an awfully convoluted,
it was
complicated
pretty
way
complicated,
to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw the 1996 remake when it came out, so I already knew the ending for this one, which took a lot away from the experience for me. But there's no lesbian subtext in this one, although there was in the second one, quite a bit of it. Although at one point, Christina tells Michael that she and Nicole share a bed, and he laughs. Ha 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 ha. Like, that doesn't mean anything to him.
No, that doesn't happen.
The window into 1950s France is pretty cool. It's a lot different from the British films of the time. And Kevin said the last third felt long and stretched out. But I thought it was pretty good on its own, as long as you don't know what's coming.
Yeah, it was okay, well done, suspenseful in parts, but yeah, that final stretch just seemed too stretched.
Suspense.
I got weary of it.
Where's the body? What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little
Weariness
overly
kicked in.
convoluted.
Yeah, but a weak thumbs up from Kevin.
Then we watched a short film called Kickstart My Heart 2023. It's nothing to do with Kickstarters. Written and directed by Kelsey Bollig, stars Emma Passarow, Cooper Alexander, and Sadie Eve Scott. 11 minutes, 49 seconds. Link in the show notes to watch this one. What happens?
Well, Lily gets hit by a car.
Boom.
She wakes up and has no idea where she is. Her family has been waiting a long time. Her little brother Richie comes into the room, but wait a minute, he's been dead for a while. He says she's going to have to really fight. She pulls away the covers, and there's a big bite on her leg. And then the zombie attacks.
You figure she's dead and talking to ghosts, but what's that got to do with the zombies?
Yeah. Well, this one's got a lot of action, which is pretty unusual for a short. Yeah, the fight combats were, the fight choreography was really good in this one. Yeah. And the music really adds to the tension. The makeup is really good. It's not absolutely clear what's going on as it develops, but it mostly makes sense by the end. And we liked it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
All right. Kickstart My Heart.
Kickstart My Heart.
Over on YouTube.
Another short we recommend.
Did we watch another movie?
Oh, I think we did. We saw Hell House LLC, the director's cut, from 2015.
Written and directed by Stephen Cognetti, stars Gore Abrams. You know, if you're going to be in a movie like this, you need a name like Gore. I saw one the other guy. The guy's last name is Blood. That was good too.
Gore Blood. No, that'd be a name.
That's a porn movie there.
Okay.
Gore and Abrams, Alice Balke, and Danny Bellini. 2 hours and 9 minutes. This is a long one. Except it's not. It's
Psych.
Yeah. We watched the director's cut, which I don't remember now if it was on Shudder or Amazon or one of the streaming services. But like the last half hour of it is like behind the scenes interviews and stuff. So I don't remember how long this is, but it's not as long as it says.
But it's good.
Except for the director's cut, which you can totally skip. There's some added stuff at the end, and I thought it was so boring.
I didn't think it added or was really necessary.
No.
The movie itself is good. I thought that's all they needed. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you've seen Hell House LLC and noticed that there's now a director's cut out there, don't bother.
Yeah, I mean, don't make the extra effort, I would say.
Yeah. Spoiler-free, what happens?
This was quite a good found footage film. And we sort of learn at the beginning what happens at the end, and then things fill in as we go back and watch things unfold. And the cast seemed very natural, and the authentic setting was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know right from the beginning that everybody dies. This is like the first scene.
And this was not a mockumentary. Well, all this time I've been calling all of these mockumentaries, but mockumentary is really like
they're mocking something.
Yeah,
it's humor.
Best in Show, or This is Spinal Tap, or where they're mocking a real thing. And this is a fakeumentary, I guess you'd call it. But
I don't know that there's a word for what this is. Footage, of course.
I'm going to start calling them fakeumentaries.
Fakeumentaries. All righty.
Yeah. That Bigfoot one, that was a. See, that one.
People take that seriously.
Yeah, but that was one that fooled me because we were watching it and I was thinking, oh, this is a great found footage, not mockumentary, but fakeуmentary, and then. Oh, this is a real documentary.
That was a real documentary there. Yeah.
But anyway, this one is not real, but it's done in the shape of a documentary.
Yes, it is a documentary about a fictional occurrence.
Yeah. What happens?
Well, we are told that what you're about to see is a documentary on the mysterious events surrounding the 2009 Halloween haunted house tragedy. And then we are told that the Abaddon Hotel was one of those haunted house attractions, but a bunch of people died there. We then watch a video taken by one of the attendees on opening night, and it's pretty standard haunted house kind of stuff, with evil clowns, scary mannequins, spiders, and lots of screaming sound effects. Suddenly, there's a bunch of people in the basement screaming to go back out the way they came. There's a stampede and loud noises, followed by lots more screaming. But for real this time. By the time some people get out, the ambulances and police are already arriving. Later, they wheel out 9 bodies. And they play the 9/11 call for us, but that doesn't really say very much.
So things got a little bit too real.
And 9 people died, yes. Well, the police clam up about what actually happened, and no one's going to say anything at all. No answers were forthcoming, so a photographer broke in later and investigated further. Sarah Havel was a member of the group that did the haunted house. She says the city keeping everything quiet was probably the right thing to do. She hands over a big bag of videotapes from the security cameras that she never gave to the police. Well, we watch what's on her tapes. Sarah, Paul, Alex, Tony, and Mac arrive at the abandoned Abaddon Hotel, where they plan to open the new haunted house before Halloween. The place still has most of the original furnishings, but is pretty beat up and filthy. They find a bunch of Bibles in the basement, and once they get the electricity restored, the group starts spending the nights there, where we see multiple scenes of the guys setting up haunted house props, but most of them also have a dark figure moving around in the background.
That they don't see.
There's something going on.
That was some creepiness. Yeah.
Joey, Melissa, and Sam, 3 actors, arrive to play clowns and such, and we cut back to the photographer saying that Joey made it out alive, but was found dead 9 days after the incident.
So there wasn't just the 9 body count. There was more.
Someone else was found with a self-inflicted throat cut. Melissa lives in the area, and she knows stories about the old hotel that say it's really haunted. Experts say it all began with Andrew Tully and the missing guests in 1989. He built the hotel because of the name of the town, and Abaddon is the name of the demon who guards the gate to hell. Some guests went mysteriously missing, and Andrew hanged himself in the dining room. Back in 89, 20 years before this stuff all happened.
And then the place was abandoned, and then it's being reclaimed.
Yeah. Well, Paul gets scared by a clown dummy that shouldn't have someone in it, but it moves anyway. When he shows the others the footage, they think it's some kind of a trick. Later, he's scared by having one too many creatures in the basement. Like, there's the dummy, that number 1, there's dummy number 2, there's dummy number 3. Ooh, we've only got 3 dummies. Who's that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Sarah
some of that was really well done, I thought.
Oh, yeah, a lot of it is.
Yeah.
Sarah starts sleepwalking, and some of the guys are ready to pack it in and quit, but Alex, the leader, is more gung-ho than ever. Paul sees something in his room and vanishes afterward. They find him in the basement in a trance, but they blame him for messing with them. He doesn't speak again after the incident, and it looks like he may have had a mental breakdown. Tony wants to quit, but Mac persuades him to stay. Diane, the interviewer, asks Sarah if Alex was fit to run the show, and Sarah is evasive about answering.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's opening night, and there's a huge line of people waiting to get in.
Yay, success.
They eventually open and start letting people in the front door, and Sarah thinks she sees Paul wandering around. The cameras in the basement all suddenly cut out, so no one knows what's happening down there.
Pandemonium.
Well, we finally get to see what actually happened. A portal to hell opens up. Also up in the attic, Alex has hanged himself, and there are cultists up there with him. That escalated quickly.
It sure did.
Back in the present, Diane and the cameraman decide to break into the Abaddon Hotel and see what's in there. They leave, figuring it'll take about an hour. Meanwhile, Mitchell continues going through Sarah's old footage. It contains Paul beating Sarah to death. These are Sarah's tapes.
But who was that he just interviewed then? Huh.
Paul then cuts his own throat and dies on camera. Diane and the cameraman break in and start taking video of the inside of the hotel, but the cameraman refuses to go into the basement. They go upstairs, and they find Sarah in the bedroom with cultists. Sounds like a Clue game, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it was
does.
Sarah in the bedroom with the cultists.
With the cultists.
Both Diane and the cameraman are never seen again. The end.
Yeah.
Except for the, 6 sequels.
Well.
Okay, well, it's basically a documentary surrounding found footage bits, and there are many small details and short scenes that I didn't go into in the synopsis above. There's a lot going on here with a great deal of weirdness. It was filmed on the site of a real haunted house attraction built into a real abandoned hotel, which makes it a really good setting.
It was an authentic setting.
Well, the released version of the film was out an hour and 33 minutes long. So the director's cut added more than half an hour of extra stuff. But most of the extras are just slightly stretched out versions of scenes we already saw, along with cast auditions. So if you don't care about seeing actors' auditions and scenes that were cut down and should have been cut down, don't worry about that.
Yeah, I didn't think the extra cut added much.
Yeah, but the basic film, Hell House LLC, is really very good.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, we liked it. All right. Which takes us to From Beyond from 1986. Directed by Stuart Gordon, written by Brian Yuzna, Dennis Paoli, and H.P. Lovecraft. Stars Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, and Ted Sorrell. Hour and 25 minutes, trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free! This was really excellent, with practical effects that have held up very well.
Yeah, it was the golden age of practical effects.
It definitely was.
If they made this nowadays, I bet they'd use a lot of CGI.
And it would suck.
And it wouldn't be nearly as effective. Yeah.
Okay, so it's from a very short H.P. Lovecraft story, but they managed to flesh it out into an entertaining, full-length movie. And we both liked it, right?
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
did.
did.
Yeah.
All right, what happens?
Crawford Tillinghast works on his computer in the high-tech lab. The glowing ball in the center of the room lights up, and the huge tuning forks do their thing. He sees some kind of translucent eel-like thing swimming around the forks, but then it jumps down and bites him. He cuts the power and it vanishes. Where did it come from? From beyond.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, he runs downstairs and tells his partner, Dr. Pretorius, that the machine worked. Pretorius turns it on and acts strangely. Can't you feel it? In the mind, in the mind. I want to see more than any man has ever seen. Something's coming. He's really on board with it. It's really tuning into him good. Well, meanwhile, a neighbor lady calls the police about the noise, and her little dog runs straight to the big house. She follows the dog up the stairs to Tillinghast's lab. Tillinghast runs outside and is grabbed by the police, but Pretorius is dead. His head is missing. Credits roll. Well, Dr. Catherine McMichaels and the detective come to see Dr. Block about Crawford Tillinghast's condition. They want to see if he's competent to stand trial for Pretorius's murder. They think he did it.
But where'd the head go?
Yeah, head's missing, like literally gone. Crawford's a psychiatrist at...
Physicist.
A
There's a
physicist.
difference.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I misread that. Crawford is a physicist at Miskatonic University. What they were trying to do is stimulate the pineal gland to open awareness of things using vibrations and harmonics and very scientific explanations. He claims that the theory worked, and then they saw creatures from beyond.
From beyond.
He says that something from the other side bit off Pretorius's head like a gingerbread man. Yum, yum, yum. Catherine wants to do a CAT scan on Crawford to see what's wrong with him. Well, his pineal gland is oversized. Block thinks it's a tumor, but Catherine thinks it's growing naturally for some reason. That would support Crawford's experiments worked. She wants to recreate the experiment with Crawford's help. And the detective just wants answers, so he gives her the go-ahead. Might as well. So they meet Sergeant Buford Brownlee, who will look after Crawford. The three of them head to the Pretorius compound. They find Pretorius's sex dungeon, where he made amateur porn. And they also find the resonator upstairs, and it's not beaten up too badly. So Crawford repairs the machine surprisingly easily, and they're ready to go again. But he warns them not to move once the field is turned on because they might see you. He switches it on, and it goes just like before. Bubba sees the creatures first. Bubba Buford. His nickname is Bubba. And one of them bites him. Suddenly, they hear Pretorius's voice calling to them, the dead guy. He says he didn't die, he just passed beyond. And then he peels his face off, and it's not pretty. He jumps at them, and Crawford turns the machine off, making everything vanish again. Catherine wonders if the expanded pineal is related to schizophrenia somehow, and she wants to experiment more with the machine. She's all on board. But Bubba and Crawford aren't into that. Any sane person wouldn't be. But it seems to have, triggered something in her where it's really turning her on. That night, she sneaks in and turns on the machine by herself. Crawford runs up and demands that she turn it off, but she kisses him instead. The machine makes her horny for some reason. Pretorius...
Because it's an 80s movie.
Yes, and plot, yeah. Well, Pretorius appears, and now he's a slimy, half-melded, perverted mutant. Crawford runs to the basement to kill the power down there, but there's another monster in the basement. These monsters all seem to want to eat someone's head. Bubba pulls the plug, and both Catherine and Crawford are released. She's fine, but he's lost all his hair. Catherine thinks about things, comes to the conclusion that she needs to run the experiment alone next time. Like, why?
It went so well this time.
She's not thinking clearly about this. Yeah. Bubba says she's acting like a junkie. She goes upstairs to the bondage dungeon and admires the equipment. And before long, she's wearing a full BDSM suit and admiring herself in the mirror. Bubba walks in, says, "I told you to get dressed." "I did," she answers.
That's not what I meant.
Yes, she's dressed. Well, suddenly magic happens and the wires in the basement reconnect to the power and the machine upstairs activates. Apparently Pretorius is getting more pushy from the other side. Crawford wakes up. He can hear that it's on. Bubba runs upstairs to try to turn it off, but the machine shocks him. Catherine and Crawford try, and it starts shooting bugs all over them. The bugs actually eat Bubba. And then they spot Pretorius, who came through again somehow. And then he's barely human and has many tentacles. He tells Crawford that he's changing and evolving, and Crawford should just relax and let it happen too. Well, Crawford's head kind of splits open, and a third eye pops out, like a tendril or a kind of a worm kind of thing that's sticking out of his forehead. Catherine sprays the machine with a fire extinguisher, and that temporarily shuts it down, but not for long, keeps coming back on. Well, she takes Crawford to the hospital, where Dr. Block tries to remove the worm in his forehead. Dr. Block thinks Catherine has lost her mind, and that's what she tells the detective. Block orders electroshock therapy.
Always fun.
Yeah, except that I don't think that's how that works like that quickly. But it's a plot thing. Crawford wakes up and starts wandering around. Dr. Block catches him in the pathology room eating brains. He attacks her and eats her brain.
That's probably not how that works either.
Them cravens. Catherine also breaks loose before they can zap her, and she heads back to Pretorius's place again. And this time she makes a great big time bomb. And where did she get all the equipment for that in the middle of the night?
Well, 2 a.m. if you need a time bomb, and you just go down to the corner store.
Yeah, buy some explosives and timer and all that. Yep. Well, as she comes downstairs, Crawford grabs her and chains her up in the bondage room. And she bites his pineal gland off, his worm sticking out of his forehead, which kind of brings him back to his senses somewhat. So, the machine switches on again, and Pretorius returns. He and Crawford fight while Catherine enlists the aid of the little eel things to bite through her bonds. And she runs for it, but Pretorius has tentacles everywhere. Crawford tries to rip his way out of Pretorius as time runs out. Catherine jumps out the window just as the bomb goes off. The old neighbor lady comes over to help and finds that Catherine has completely lost her mind. She is now living in the From Beyond.
Well, Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton previously worked with director Stuart Gordon on Reanimator a year before this. The main lab set is really interesting and pretty cool looking, and the resonator prop especially looks sort of believable.
Sorta.
The special effects and creature work is probably about the best of all the non-CGI films. Ranks right up there, in my opinion, with The Thing from '82 or Hellraiser from '87.
Excellent practical effects, yeah.
Actually, there's a lot of similarities here between this and Hellraiser.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, other dimensional. Yeah, and it's that's my favorite of the week.
It was good.
Yeah.
My favorite of the week, From Beyond, Hill House, Diabolique.
Yeah. No real thumbs downs.
Yeah, I would say that would probably be the best of the bunch.
From Beyond is my favorite of the four. Yeah.
All right, well, that's all for this week. Tune in next week where we're going to talk about some 1980s technology movies.
Technology.
Sci-fi horror.
Technology scary.
We're going to talk about Evil Speak, where you play with computers and summon demons with them.
Use a computer to summon the devil. Yeah.
Saturn 3, where we can get Harvey Keitel, who talks like a girl. What? Humanoids from the Deep, which sounds ridiculous, but was actually probably the best of the bunch.
It was very entertaining.
The Hidden. Aliens Come to Earth. Then over at HorrorBulletin.com, we're going to have Magic. Anthony Hopkins and a puppet. And which one is the better actor?
That's one that I saw when it came out.
So did I.
Still liked it this time, too.
I liked it a lot better this time.
Yeah.
And Friday the 13th, Part VI.
What? They're still making them?
Well, they were at the time.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about the sixth one.
We will.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.